Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. We're thrilled to have in the studio with us today Paul Luangkhot. He is the employee benefits consultant for the Culture Insurance Group. How you doing there, Paul?
Really good. Thank you very much, Drew.
Very, very, very good over here. I'm joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of the San Diego Writers, Inc., and Kristen, who's been on my show many times.
Many times,
has agreed to co-host this indefinitely.
Yes, we'll see if we like each other after this stint. I'm just kidding.
I think we're going to like each other.
We're going to like.
I know we all over here. Paul, Kristen has a question for you right out of the gate.
Yeah, I do. So I just wanted you to tell us a little bit about the Culture Insurance Group, what the mission is.
Yeah, so we are a full service insurance group here where we help with employee benefits all the way to the business insurance side of things. But really our mission is to help the San Diego business community just to educate them on what their options actually are.
Okay. And so talk me through what type of insurance we're talking about.
Anywhere between employee benefits, so anything company sponsored,
okay.
Medical, dental, vision, that sort of thing, anything outside of 401k at least.
Gotcha.
We let those experts handle that.
Okay.
And then on the business insurance side, it's anything related to workers' comp, EPLI,
okay.
Anything really that the business needs.
So important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that everybody needs. Yeah, my husband was actually on the benefit side for the pensions. So,
oh, really?
Yes.
And still is?
No.
Okay. No.
No, it's very important, but it's hard work, and it's really important to be properly insured. So yeah, we appreciate what you do.
Right, and so you've been doing this for how long?
I've been in this space for about 2.5 years. Prior to that, it was I was still in that business consulting type of role, having done payroll and everything else, and just to be a resource for the business community.
Right. So you can't help but read in the paper almost daily that insurance is changing everywhere. And a lot of it we're here on the homeowner side, where these big companies are fleeing California. Okay. On that, the next wildfire, you're going to be insured by somebody in the space station Mir, for God's sake, or whatever the case may be. Is it the same on the business side too?
Not so much. The landscape that's changing here on our end is just the importance of what benefits means to employees now. Over the past few years, really due to COVID, people started reprioritizing what their goals are and what's important to them. And most business owners have seen there's just been movement with employees. People not wanting to work, people moving out of state, it's just tough hiring people right now. And one of the biggest topics that comes up is benefits. Right? Are the benefits meaningful? Are the benefits meaningful to me? Mm-hmm. What do those look like? Right? And so that landscape is shifting the way employers are thinking about benefits, or it should be shifting the way employers think about benefits.
Yeah. Hasn't that always been the case, or not as much as it is now?
Well, what happens is it's benefits, like insurance, just like your cell phone. You set it and forget it. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
And so what most employers end up seeing is your broker, someone like me, will come in and get you rates and then do an open enrollment, and then I'll see you next year, right? And that's typically what happens, right? There's no strategy around, hey, what's important to my employees? Our philosophy is, if we don't know what the target is, where do we aim? Mm-hmm. And so we find out what our target is by asking the employees, hey, what's important to you? Where do you go for medical care? Right? What providers that you enjoy? So that way we can match the right carriers with the employers.
So is it hard, and before Kristen tees you up another question, and I assuming you're working with businesses of all sizes, is that correct?
Correct.
Right. So some that, maybe not as big as Qualcomm, but who knows, right? And maybe as a 10-person shop, whatever the case may be. But you said something very interesting, because you want to talk about what is important to that employee. But aren't they going to have so many different needs, and how do you able to tie that in without having, like, let's say you have 100 people on your staff having 100 different policies, so to speak.
Right. No, that's very true. And we take kind of the weighted average, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
We're trying to appease the most of the population. Because the goal here, and really the philosophy that I bring is, it's making sure the employers know we have to take care of your biggest asset, and that's your people.
Right.
And I truly believe that is also your best recruiting source.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an engineering company looking for engineers, who best to have connections to other engineers than your current ones? They went to school with them, they worked with them at other organizations. And so if you're taking care of them so well that they can't help but talk about you, that's the goal here, right? And so really the importance and what your benefits is communicating as far as what you're looking for and what you're attracting, it kind of means the same thing. And I'll give you an example, right? So you've got some companies that contribute to the medical for the employee only. Well, now what that's saying to me and saying to people is like, hey, you care about kind of like that newly graduated individual, no one that's a little bit more tenured along the lines, because those people are looking for family coverage,
right.
Spouses, right? And if you don't have that coverage, they're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's spot on. We're chatting with Paul Luangkhot. He is the employee benefits consultant for the Culture Insurance Group. I'm Drew Schlosberg, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 17th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union and broadcasting from this beautiful Mission Fed studio in Scripps Ranch and Mission Fed Credit Union. Anyone who's been in San Diego for any time knows they've been doing great things for more than 60 years supporting our community. And Kristen?
Yeah, I just wanted to learn a little bit more about the organization's values. So I know loving others is one of them, but I saw some other great ones on the website. So I wondered if you would speak to that.
Yeah, for me, loving others is our first goal that you see listed there. And that's kind of the thing that drives us, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, we do that by not only strategizing with the employers as far as what benefits strategy we're going to be moving forward with, but we take that even further in loving others as in the employees of the companies, right? Because insurance it's really confusing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people don't know how to spell it, right?
Right.
And so our goal and our job, and really what we should be doing as brokers, is educating the employees on what resources you have with the insurance that you're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And it's so deeply personal too. I think one of the reasons my husband got out of the game was just because, he was dealing with pensions. And so it was high stakes. This is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. So I imagine with you too, you're dealing with people's livelihoods here. It's just so...
I mean, it's one of the most costly ticket items that any family has to deal with, right?
Yeah.
With insurance, depending on what the employer is covering. But that's a big decision. Just understanding for those of us in California here, HMO versus PPO. Which is the best for me? And that's a conversation, right? Because what's funny is I go back to kind of when I first got a job and working for a large Fortune 500 company, and I had no direction. The only thing I knew about insurance was PPO was the most expensive option versus the HMO.
Right.
And in my 21-year-old mind, I said, hey, if it's more expensive, that's got to be better. Mm-hmm. And so I signed up for a platinum PPO plan at the age of 21. And never once went to the doctors.
Right.
Like because I was young and invincible.
Yes.
Right. But part of that, and for those of us that were, at least for my counterparts in that same stage, they were asking their parents who are at a different point in their life and have different needs in their lives to choose plans. Right. And so it's very different. And so again, for me, it's helping the individual create or make the best decisions for them and their families. And then going into like, hey, you have this carrier. They provide these types of resources when it's mental health or whatever else that they have in there. So it's a really good approach that's worked well for us and what we bring to the community.
Right. Paul, when we come back from break, I know Kristen's going to chat with you more about some of your community outreach efforts and what is really near and dear to your heart, what makes you proud. And I'll circle back also on what are some of the challenges you have when we return. Chatting with Paul Luangkhot. He is the employee benefits consultant for the Culture Insurance Group. I'm Drew Schlosberg, joined by Kristen Fogel, co-host on another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 17th year, joined by Paul Luangkhot. He is the employee benefits consultant for the Culture Insurance Group. I'm joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, executive director of the San Diego Writers, Inc., chatting about all these cool things that Paul is doing with the Culture Insurance Group. Kristen.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you could tell me a little bit about Culture's community outreach efforts.
You know, for us, when it comes to community, I think it starts not only with the owners of our company, Nathan Craig, Chad Vargo, and Andrew Huber, but I'll share a little bit about really Andrew Huber's story, right? So he came from a really large firm, pretty big name, and in the brokerage, you manage the clients that you have, and he really had under 10 clients his entire career there because he was working with the big boys, right?
Right.
And so what we found was, or what he found was, hey, there's a lot of smaller companies that could use the strategy, that can use the resources that they have, the education that he can provide, but the larger firms weren't allowing him to do that because they wanted him to focus on the big companies, really large companies. And so, you know, his role and his goal was to, hey, I want to serve the community here in San Diego. Here are the companies that are growing and that we can get to one of those large companies with the right resources, with the right consultations, with the right partners in place. And so that's kind of what stemmed Culture Insurance's value and their mission to serve the San Diego community specifically. Right. So when it comes to like the community outreach, nonprofits and everything like that, I'm very involved with the Boys and Girls Club. It's Greater San Diego.
Oh, great. They do good work. Yeah.
Yeah. And so kind of my connection to there is I grew up within that Boys and Girls community, but up in LA.
Oh, okay.
I grew up in East LA, so it was what kept me out of trouble.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. But it really was a big part of my life. And so for me, my goal is to try to give back with my connections that I have with them, what connections I have with the community, the resources. So just tying the people together because I love connecting people.
Yeah, that's amazing. Another question for you. So I run San Diego Writers, Inc., which is a literary nonprofit. So I'm all about story. Do you have any stories from your organization that maybe you're most proud of?
Oh, man. Without, let's see here. You know, for me, there's a story that comes to mind, and without giving names and, you're right, because we're regulated by HIPAA. And,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But one of the things, and really what solidified how I'm able to help people was, you know, one of the members of my clients had a health issue that came up over the weekend and had no idea what to do, right? The doctor's telling them one thing, they need this, they need that. They're just sending him all over the place. While this was an urgent matter where he might have lost his eyesight.
Wow.
Right? Not knowing what to do. So she calls me and utilizing our back channels to expedite the process to get approvals done ahead of time. We were able to get the help that he needed in a timely manner. And it wasn't just that. I think for me and my role as a benefits advocate for people, it's the peace of mind that they have, right? Because again, you're dealing with a serious health issue. You don't know what to do. You don't know where to go, right? If you're dealing with something in the hospital's at fault, they're not going to tell you that.
Yeah.
If they're dealing with something in the carriage at fault, they're not going to tell you that. I have the opportunity to butt the heads of those people to go, hey, make this work for the member. Right? Let's help them here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so true what you're talking about, Paul, that when you've got a good insurance guy, you do not want to let that person go because they can navigate, they fight for you, they will advocate for you. And you're right, it is a very complicated world out there. What would you say some of the biggest challenges that folks that do what you do face, and of course then the businesses themselves when it comes to insurance?
For those that are doing what I do, I think I'm trying to figure out what the challenge is because our job is ever evolving with different legislation coming out and everything like that. The rising rates, right, that are constantly coming up, and we're anticipating that's going to go up again as they typically do. But we're seeing bigger numbers we're anticipating bigger numbers for next year. But part of the role for us is to really educate the employers and just set those expectations and try to find solutions to mitigate some of those rate increases. Right, providing different funding arrangements, right, as options. So really, the challenges have always been the challenges if you're doing the job right.
Yeah, and when we talk about the rising rates, we're chatting with Paul Luangkhot. He is the employee benefits consultant for the Culture Insurance Group. I'm Drew Schlosberg, Cloudcast Media, joined by my co-host Kristen Fogel, executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. So I just got what my premium will be in one of my
lucky
accounts. It is almost 4 times what it was this year. Now, fortunately, it's not didn't start as a big number, right? But it's still 4 times. And I can't imagine I hope that the next one that comes in is not 4 times a bigger number. How are people affording this?
It's insurance is different depending on whether you're on individual coverage through California, or if it's through the business.
Yeah,
and it also depends on how large the employee count is within that business.
That's right.
The rates are all different, right? If you're considered small group, which is under 100 employees at a company, rates are age banded. So depending on how old you are, that's your rates are significantly more than your younger, invincible 21-year-old that is signed up for the same plan. Individual coverage, that's its whole another monster that even I wouldn't touch, right? So, but there are people out there that can help assist with you. I've got absolutely a ton of brokers that I can refer you to that can help with that individual coverage. But on the company sponsored side of things, it really goes down to like, hey, just understanding with the employer, really, right? Just finding that strategy. Many are moving towards the different funding arrangements if they're a good candidate for it. So that way there's a little bit of buy-in from the carriers as well. And essentially there's not too much risk when you go that route, and you get a lot more options to figure out plan details and get utilization data. So,
right, you said something earlier in the interview talking about obviously it's been a challenge for people to come back to work, which always amazes me. I'm going, really? What are you doing now? I mean, how do you support yourself if you're not coming back from the pandemic, for God's sake? But 2, how much leverage do the employees have or prospective employees with the companies and say, you know what, I know you're short of folks, but if you want me to come, you need to offer this as a benefit. Is that happening a lot?
Not necessarily. I think what has been happening is more on the compensation side.
Okay, I got you.
So they're wanting more money. Bonuses, they want hybrid work, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I'm actually on the board of the San Diego chapter of SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management. And, that's a topic that we've been discussing, right? That's a challenge for basically every organization here. And it's a weird balance that they have to deal with, right? It's like, do we increase what we're paying to attract the talent, but what about the talent that's currently here? Now we should be raising those salaries as well. Otherwise, you start losing those people,
right?
So it's a weird balance, and then how do we figure that out? But I think that's with every organization. That's what everyone's dealing with. Specifically on the benefits side, it's moving over to different strategies, figuring out what the strategy is, as opposed to just, here's your rates, let's move on. We have benefits. What are they? Don't know, but we have them, right? People should know what they are. People should be educated on what they have.
Right.
That way they feel like they have benefits.
Right. It brings up a good point, for a turnover to Kristen for the last question. Listen, the individuals, whether you're owning your business and you're looking to get, business insurance, for your employees, or it's individual, you cannot be afraid to ask those questions. You just have to be on it 24/7 in some aspects of it. And how much do you start thinking about, wow, just went through these types of negotiations to get this package. I got to start again, and it seems like in 2 days afterwards, right? It's just nonstop, correct?
Nah, not necessarily. Well, on the company-sponsored side, it's once a year.
Right. But I mean, when you do that, don't you have to be thinking about, okay, how are we going to maintain this for the next year and stuff? Is there any way to forecast what it's going to look like the following year?
It depends on the funding arrangement.
Okay.
If you have the funding arrangements where you get utilization data, you can kind of figure out what those numbers will be, or at least ballpark it.
Oh, okay.
But end of the day, it's the carriers that set those rates.
Right.
The broker, a good broker will have negotiating power with them.
Gotcha.
Depending on the size of the company, depending on the funding arrangement. If you're a small group, under 100 employees, and you're age banded, what they call it, there's really no negotiation. The rates are the rates, no matter who you work with.
Right.
So the goal here is for every employer out there is to find a broker that you trust, that you really get along with, and to see what support and services they provide for you outside of just getting the rates.
Right. Got it. Kristen?
Yeah, this is kind of off the cuff here, but I'm always interested in this. Like, obviously, you know a lot about this field and everything, and you're passionate about it. Do you recommend, others starting up? How do they get involved in this field, or what are some of the benefits of being in this field that you've seen?
For me, the benefit is, at least I'm considered the business development side, right? So I'm in sales. I'm going around. With San Diego being such a small, large city, everyone knows everyone. I think for me, I traditionally don't cold call. I don't door knock. I don't do any of that. I'm very involved with the business community in general. I'm tied in with the HR community as well, through SHRM. I'm also on the board of Cal CPA, the San Diego chapter of Cal CPA, and just providing resources there. And for those that want to start out, it's really just diving in. Right? Mm-hmm. Most will look for that business-to-business experience. I got my experience through helping companies with their payroll.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of payroll companies out there, a lot of good ones out there too, a lot of them with good training programs. But that's kind of the foot in the door to get into the business-to-business sales space. But other than that, I think for me, especially in my role, because it's such a relationship type, instead of being transactional, just for me, it's caring about people, and that's what's served me really well.
That's great. Kristen?
Yeah, what can listeners do to support your efforts, or how can we learn more about culture?
Well, you could visit our website, www.cultureinsurance.com. I believe I got that right. Or you can reach out to me, Paul, at cultureinsurance.com. What I love doing, I think that kind of intrinsic value is being able to educate employers. You don't have to be my client. I love just sharing strategy. I just love being able to educate you on what your options are out there. And if you like what I put together, take that to your current broker. Have them implement it because they can. Right?
Yeah, no, that's terrific. Why don't we do this? And again, you don't want to break any HIPAA laws and get you thrown in jail, for God's sake. But if you've got clients, certainly that, listen, they've benefited from what the services that you provided. And you're right, it's all about education. That's the whole key. Would love to have you come back on and bring some of your satisfied clients, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that always does the street cred, is it not, Kristen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love to hear stories.
We love stories. She's the expert in storytelling, I'll tell you that. Paul, thanks so much for joining us. Wishing you nothing but great success moving forward, and we hope to have you come back in with a return appearance.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely our pleasure. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 17th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. And Mission Fed's been doing terrific things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.